I can't see everybody. I can't see them. I'm sorry. I can't see Livy. Okay, now. The Torah says in Siman Kif Yid Aleph, we're talking about which psikim was added before Shemoneh Esrei. We know Hashem's Susai Tiftach. We're going to start hopefully today about Hashem's Susai Tiftach. There's another pusik, Kishayim Meshem Ekru V'goydel Elkaini. Kishayim Meshem Ekru, the Torah says, it's brought down from the Rishonim, the Mordechai, the Gus Maimonides. It goes way back. They added Kishayim Meshem Ekru V'goydel Elkaini before we start Shemoneh Esrei. And what does it mean, Kishayim Meshem Ekru V'goydel Elkaini? So the Meforshim explain, we're asking Hashem, we're going to speak to you to mention many times Hashem in the Shemoneh Esrei. So we're looking for help that we should be able to mention these Shemus properly. And by mentioning the name of Hashem, we bring Goydel, greatness to our Kadosh Baruch Hu. The Maimai Chaim says, a beautiful pshat. The Baina Yoina explains the Moedem the Rebuna that we say by Chazuris Hashatz. Moedem anachni loch, al shuni moedem loch, burich kai lohi duois. Says the Baina Yoina, pshat in these words, amazing words. What are we thanking Hashem for? Al ma sha'atu zichitani, you are mezaka us. You gave us such a big zchus. You gave us a special privilege that we are able to thank you. For that we say, we are bevorchen, we bench you, we praise you, on the chain, the chesed, the big favor, the big toiver that you did with us, that we have the honor and the privilege, for that, we bench you, said the Baimai Chaim, the same thing we will teach. We have to give Gedilla, Kuvit, Shvach to Hashem, that He was Mezaka us, Kishayim Hashem, that we have the schis of mentioning the name of Hashem. Why am I mentioning this now? Because last week we mentioned the Maisa of the Moshe Galanti, amazing story. And the bottom line was, the reason why he was bothered was crying. Mom is crying streams of tears. I had to hear from an Arab what it means, the Shem Hashem, Shvisi Hashem Neneg de Summit. That's how he helped people. So before we start Shemoneh Esrei, they put this pusik before the Shemoneh Esrei. Appreciate what we have. We should understand what we have, says Baimai Chaim. We have the schis of calling upon the name of Hashem. This brings greatness to HaKadosh Baruch Hu if we recognize and we realize. I must say, preparing the Shir today was very difficult. Why? I found so many things in the Nunim that if we do why this is the 7th Shir in the introduction to Shemoneh Esrei. I feel it's so important to understand what we have, how to do it, because if we know how and what it means, the Tefilos are answered. Not it might be answered. You'll hear the Shoiners today that if you know how to bow in the certain places we have to bow, we'll start. Today, first we'll start, how should we, when we stand Shemoneh Esrei, where do we put our hands? How do we stand? There are so many ways how the hands could be placed. So we'll mention that. The Torah says in Siman Tzadik Hai, the Torah brings a Rambam, the end of the Siman. Kusav Rambam Zal, Meniach Yudov al Liboy, right on left, V'oimit ke'eved lifnai Rabbi, stand like a servant stands in front of his master, Ba'aimu ebeyiru ifachat, with fear and pachat. So the Bes Yosef explains, Ve'efshe, shehiremez la'achnuis yayitzahore shinirmiz b'tzat smol. Maybe this is the pshat because the tzat small is the Yetzer Hara. If you put the Yetzer Tov and the Yetzer Hara, you're going to be machnia the Yetzer Hara. The Darka Moshe, the Remu adds, V'aderechu emes, strong language, it's a remes to strengthen the midas harachman or the midas hadin. With Davini Shemres, you want to have rachman. You want to strengthen the midas harachman and the midas hadin. In B'chol Punim, Yizur, be careful. One thing, be careful for sure. Leval yusim yad hasmulis al yad hayemunis bitfilusoi. Do not put your left hand on your right hand when you're down. The sword hanirmis applicable. And we are talking very much, but whenever we stand, you won't find.
These are things that you should be careful all the time with.
Correct.
Especially during Shmores.
Correct.
Right.
The emphasis of Mullen of Rome says, Shoim dem lefnai, keminik hamakoim is shoim dem lefnai adonayim. Every Mukim has a different way how to stand respectful in front of their honors, in front of their masters. So that's the way to stand. She also brings many other ways, but this is the general way. Right on the right and left is always, I shouldn't have said. Yeah. Okay, the next discussion is an important one. How to bow. The Chazal say, the Shulchan Aruch, it's brought down in Siman Kif Yid Gimel. It's always kedai to have open the illusion of the Torah B'S Yosef. The Gemara says, Mesechtes Bruchis Lamedale, Tune Rabunon, Ili Bruchis She'udam Shoiche Behen. These are the Bruchis that we have to bow. The Uvois, the first Bruch in the Shemin Esrei, Tchile V'Soif, when we start, Buich Atu Hashem L'Kaini L'Kai V'Saini, and Buich Atu Hashem Mugen Avrom, which is Uvois, talk about Avrom, Yitzchak V'Yakov, the beginning of the Brucha and the end of the Brucha, Tchile V'Soif. And Bohi do it, Tchile V'Soif. The end of the Shemin Esrei, which is the first three Bruchas of Shemin Esrei, which is another discussion, is praising Hashem, which we don't put in our own Tefilos. And the last three Bruchas of the Shemin Esrei is also praising Hashem. In the middle of the 12, we could add our Tefilah, our personal Tefilos. So when we start the first Brucha of the three Bruchas, and the last three Bruchas, the first Brucha, which is Moedim, we also bow twice. Moedim Malach Miloch, and also V'chol L'chaim, Baruch Hashem, Nu Elohoidos. Over there we bow also. So it's the beginning of Shemin Esrei, Uvois, Tchile V'Sof, the beginning of the end, and the last three Bruchas, the beginning of the last three Bruchas, Moedim, and the end of Moedim, we also bow twice, the beginning and the end. That's Gemara and Bruchas. So the Gemara explains that each and every honorable person has a different way of bowing. A mushal, a kohen gudel, besoif kol brucha brucha. A melech, the beginning and the end of each and every brucha. But we bow only these two places. Malamdem oiso shlo yishcha. And if you see someone bowing, Gemara said that you shouldn't bow any other bruchas, you shouldn't bow. Only by these places where the Chazal designated, only these places we should bow. As Rashi says, Kol mashi gudel biyoyse, the greater the person is, Kohen gudel melech, tzurich la'achniya ela hashpel. You have to be machniya the person, more humble, lower down.
The melech didn't stay down the whole time?
The Midi brings that. I didn't have plan to mention that, but the Midi does say, I'll read the words of the Midi, Kohen gudel shoicha b'chol abrucha tchile v'sof, and Melech, once he's bowed, he doesn't get up until he finishes Shemin Esrei. No, it doesn't say that. He bows, and he doesn't get up until the end of Shemin Esrei. Because the Midi says, everyone according to his level, Why? Because the higher level you are, you have to go lower, you have to be machnia more. As Rashi says, that the reason, it seems from Rashi, the reason for bowing is the tzorech hachnua, to bring the person down. The Rabbi Yonah says, Yesh noisnen smach leduva, a reason why we bow with these four places. It says, Ve'ekoid ve'ishtachve l'Hashem, it says by Eliezer Eved Avruam, Ve'ekoid ve'ishtachve, two lashonos of bowing, Ve'ekoid ve'ishtachve l'Hashem, Va'avurech es Hashem Elokai Adoni Avruam. Since it says the lashonos of Va'avurech es Hashem Elokai Adoni Avruam, before that it says Ve'ekoid ve'ishtachve, so we learn you have to bow twice. Once you start, and when we finish that brucha. Another chazal. This is already in bruchas daf Yud Beis. Rabbi Bar Chinene says, in the name of Rav, Hamspal kishe keraya, person davens, when he bows, keraya beburich, you should bow by burich, kishi zoikiv b'shem. Burich atu Hashem, you should stand up. Why? Hashem zoikiv kefifen. You say Hashem, you have to stand. Mure es akashet from pusik balachim na yishmi luchas. So the Mure explains that it does mean when you say the name of Hashem that you have to stand up. You have to be standing. The question is, burich atu Hashem, which means before you say the word Hashem, you have to be standing already, or while you're saying Hashem, do you have to stand up? Not mentioned the Chazal, not mentioned the Mishnah Bira. So a question should be asked. When we say Hashem Zoykev Kefir, does it mean when you say the word Hashem, you should be standing already straight? Or no, you have to get up when you say the word Hashem. So Yerushalmi says clearly, when you say the word Hashem, you have to be standing straight. Hashem Zoykev Kefir means when you're already standing straight up, then you say Hashem. The Bain Yoina also says, there in Bruchas, Shebeshu shekeraya, when a person bows, he shows pachet v'yireh sheyesh melefunov. He has fear from Hashem. When he gets up, he shows the betuchen sheyesh loy boy b'chol inyunav sheyaitav ulov. Everything, all the good things. He has betuchen Hashem that it will be good. The whole day will turn out well. V'zeh tuli b'zeh. One depends on the other. A person who has fear from Hashem has betayach b'Hashem. B'yiras Hashem tachois. The strength of betuchen comes from how much Yiras Shamayim you have. The more Yiras Shamayim you have, the more betuchen you have in Hashem. The Bani Yonah says. So with this, you understand clearly what the Chaf HaChaim says. Chaf HaChaim said, the Chaim Palaji says, "Ba'oidoi keraya hakiyos." While you're bending, you're doing the moedim, you're doing the bowing, you have a mind. Sheyesh lo yireh epachad melefunav hizbura, that you have yireh epachad for Hashem. When you get up, have a mind to show the betuchen you have, betuchen Hashem, b'chol anyunav sheyaitav ulov. To have a mind this. The righteous Chochmah says, in the reason of bowing, burich atu. He brings the famous Rambam in Hilchas Avodah Zarah. Let me read the words of the Rambam. The Rambam says, Yemai Enosh, in the days of Enosh, before Avram Avinu came, Tui ben Ayudam, people had a mistake. They made a mistake. Tu is Gedoylo. They made a big mistake. They thought that Hashem wants they should bow to this, the Meshamshov, those who serve Hashem, the sun, the moon. It's respectful for the king when you honor his servants. Therefore, they build haichulois for the stars. They bow to them to be mamshach the shefa bo'ilam hazeh. Could be they meant well, but they made a big mistake. Sheyashpia lehem toive v'oisha. The Torah says no. Ben tisu einechu v'yisu es hashemish. You're not supposed to bow to these, to the servant, to the mishamshim, to Hashem. HaKadosh Baruch Hu ein ritzoynoi. HaKadosh Baruch Hu does not want Eilish loy nichlev loy nishtachve Eilu loy, only to Hashem. Lohoiro is to show Shehi Makor HaKol. Hashem is the Makor for everything. Vuni dvaikim b'shmoi, we are attached to His name. It says in Pusik, Chaylik Hashem Amoy. We are Chaylik of Hashem. Chaylik Hashem, His nation. V'zeh Indian says that Aishas Chochmah, Bami B'Burech Atu, to show Sha'ayna Nachni Moishchem, we don't pull the Shefa Brucha only Makor HaKol from Hashem. V'hayne Atu, Burech Atu, you're the one that we are davening and praising, because you're the one that we will have all the good things. Not to any star, to malach, to nobody, only to Hashem alone. The Tanya says in the Siddur, when it comes to bowing, what's the Indian of bowing by Shemoneh Esrei? Tanya says it's a bechinis of bittul harutzim v'kol v'kol. Be mevatel your rutzim, your what you want, everything to Hashem. The mission says, battle ritzoynuchem not ritzoynoi. Be mevatel your rutzim for the rutzim Hashem. Whatever Hashem wants, this is what I want. Shetzurich lios gam zeh be'etzem hagif laharken aroish. Not in thought to be mevatel your rutzim to the rutzim Hashem. You have to show it. How do you show it? By bowing. By doing that, v'zeh harishim nisha achat tfilat al kol hayoim. This will last the whole day. By bowing by these places in Shemoneh Esrei, and by having in mind yimavatl your rutzon to the rutzon Hashem, many people have their own philosophy, but it has to fit with the Torah. So even though I don't understand it, but if this is the rutzon Hashem, then I give up my rutzon. So once you do that and you bow, and this is in your thought, in your mind, when you bow, this, the roishim, this mark will stay in your mind the whole day. This is the Tanya and the Siddur. The Tanya and the Seifa Tanya says, the Indian of bowing by Shemoneh Esrei, after you makabel o malchus shamayim, Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, with words, now show it in action. And these words are, Lachze lekabel bepoil mamish b'maaseh. Now show it. It's not enough when you said it in words. You want to see if you could show it b'maaseh that you're makabel o malchus shamayim. The Shevet Mitzvah has 8 reasons why we bow. I'll just mention 2 of the 8 reasons. You bow to the Uretz. When you say Burich, you get up by the Shem. Now you're in the air, and you get up, it's Shemayim, to show that the Shechina is all over. The Shechina is below, the Shechina is in the air, the Shechina is in the Shemayim. Another reason, he says, a person that wants to be makabel something that's difficult, in order to pick up that heavy thing, he has to bow down first, and then he picks it up, he takes it in his hands, and he gets up. That's how you pick up a heavy thing. So when we bow, when we start by Burich, we go down, we are makabel on ourselves the old Malchus Shamayim. When we get up, we were already makabel on Malchus Shamayim. Now we stand straight. Now we are ready. Anything that Hashem is going on us to do, all the mitzvahs hatayr. That's how you pick up. You bow, you pick up. Now we stand straight. Now we're ready to follow Kadosh Baruch Hu all day. The Chazal say in the Gemara in Bruchas Daf Yibais, now we have to discuss how do you bow. What should you do? What's the oifen Toifen of bowing. So the Chazal say, Lev shaishes ki kura, when he bowed, kura kechizre, like a stick, straight. The ki zukif, when he got up like a snake, the head first. The Torah, when he brings this Rasha, he explains, like a person takes a stick and he bangs it to the floor at once. That's how you have to bow quick. The pamachas. When he gets up, it's zoikev banachas, slowly, first the head and then the whole body. It shouldn't look like a burden. If you go like this and like this, it shows it's a burden. This way, you get up slowly, first the head and then the entire gift. And that's where it said in Shulchan Aruch, in Siman Kif Yud Gimel, the whole Siman starts with this. There's a few luchas that I wanted to mention, that's mentioned in that Siman. And the Levish adds that the reason why we say that you should bow b'mehiris, because that shows hachnua. Siman Kif Yud Gimel. The Siman talks about bowing. So just a few sifim. The Mechaber in the first sif says where we bow, as we discussed before, and Malam de Moisoy Shlo Yishche. You shouldn't bow in any other bruches. In the middle you could bow, in the middle of the bruche, but not in the beginning, not in the end. When a person bows, not stand like that, until the spine, all the chilyas are bent.
He says in the Siddur that all 18 vertebrae have to be engaged.
That's exactly what it means.
Yeah,
this is the Mechaber means, yes. Yeah. But then the Mechaber.
Then why Yaakov 7 times the bow to Esau? You didn't know that Hashem not to bow?
Then they used to bow.
He bowed to Esau 7 times.
It's a good question. Now I have an answer. We have to look into it. Yes. And then it says in Sif Hai that you shouldn't bow too much past the chigor, past the gadol.
Your head shouldn't go past.
It shouldn't go past the waist. Yes. If a person bows and a guy comes against him and he has a picture of a Avodah Zarah, you shouldn't bow. It shouldn't look like he's bowing, chas v'shulam.
You need, let's say, a guy's wearing a cross and he's sitting in front of you.
Well, it's not so simple. A cross is Avodah Zarah. Now, the Magen Avraham says, yes, you have to bow when you start and getting up. Let's say, if you want to get up, you have to get up before the Hashem. If you want to stay bowed, you could stay like that. When you're close to Magen Avraham, you have to be standing. You have to get up before the Burich Hashem Magen Avraham. But if you want to stay longer, you want to do that, not a problem. But you have to make sure that you're standing straight before you start the next bruch. Very interesting. Why is it that when we bow by Moedim, we go straight down, that we just mentioned? Ashkenazim, when we bow by Burich, we go like this, we bend down knees, and then, do the same? We start with the knees, and then we bow the head. It's a few steps. Why Burich is different than Moedim? So the Rabbi brings in the same Siman, Os Hai, Kishoim Burich Yase Knie Biberkaim, with the knees. when you start the word burich, when you start the bruch and the word burich. Atu, your head, achi is pakiki, until all the ribs, until 18. That's a piskatoisis in the Zoya. Right? The Mashal writes, the word burich is allusion of allusion of knees. Allusion of knees. He brings it from the Mashal. From the Mashal. And mashme de moidem yishche gifo v'roishle basachas. Over there you don't go down with the knees. Over there you go straight forward. He brings it from the Mashal, the Eli Rabbah. I'm almost ready to start Hashem's Suicide Tiftach. Before that, I want to mention one more thing, one very important thing. We have discussed the Indian of stepping back a few steps. The reason why I'm mentioning this, let me first finish two more things about bowing and I'll get to that piece. It says in Seider Hayom, I heard the name of a Chuchem Echad, the Seider Hayom writes, from Rebbe Medini. I heard from him. The four bowings that we do, the beginning of the Shemoneh Esrei, the beginning of the end, and by Moedem, the beginning of the end, you should have in mind the Shemos. Usually I don't mix in Kabbalah, but this is, it's light and easy, and it seems, and he ends off with such positivity. If you do it, the Seider Hayom brings it. The Shiluf. He says like this. We have two Shemos. Aleph Dalet Nin Yid, that Shem, and the Shem Yid Kai Vav Kai. And you should do that b'Shiluf. What does it mean? In the beginning, yeah, exactly. When you start bowing, when you bow the first time of the Shemoneh Esrei, have in mind the Yid of the Shem, Yid Kai Vav Kai, of the four letters, the Yid. When you get up, have in mind the Aleph of Aleph Dalet Nin Yid. So we're going to put together these two names. Now, when you bow again, Burich Atu Hashem Mun Avrom, when you bow, the next letter is the Hay. When you get up, the Dalet. Yeah? The Dalet of Aleph Dalet Nin Yid. Follow? Now, when we get to Moedem, it's the Vav of Yid Kai Vav Kai, the third letter, and it's the Nin of Aleph Dalet Nin Yid. When you get up, it's the last letter of Yid Kai Vav Kai, the Hay, and the Yid of Aleph Dalet Nin Yid. And he concludes, when you do this, Yizburech v'Yisale Shamoy, the name of Hashem is praised in a way Hamloima v'misnasa l'chol l'roish v'hi mekor kol ha'bruchas kilam. This is the mekor to all the bruchas. Mimeni kol ha'shefa hayored hazeh. Okay, words v'achas shagum. Okay, so he said this is amazing zgila, mekor of kol ha'bruchas, to do this. Yes, and then both. When you bow, you do the first letter. When you bow, the second letter. It's eight letters altogether.
So when you have in mind when you first go down, you do it, and then the Aleph when you come up.
You going down and
Aleph coming up.
Right.
And listen what he concludes. His conclusion is, have in mind these two shaimas that we mentioned, you put together. On that it says, Oz tikru v'Hashem yana. Oz is begematria 8. When a person is machaber, these two shaimas, the 8 letters, ein tefilusoi choizeres raikom. His tefillah will not go empty, will be answered. But kol ma shegoizem miskaim lo yemois adu bekrui. If he does it properly, amazing skill. The tefillah will not go raikom. Tefillah will be answered. Now, the Divrei Chaim was makpid not to bow only by these places that we just saw in Halacha. Except, we didn't mention that when you finish Shemoneh Esrei, we say, Oisa Shulim B'mroimov, we also bow. That's after the Shemoneh Esrei, when we step back, when you finish Shemoneh Esrei. And Divrei Chaim, when he went to mikveh, he wouldn't go to mikveh and toivel bowing, he would go straight. Because he didn't bow only when it came to Shemoneh Esrei.
You said they're not concurred by a layman.
I guess only these places. Only these places.
7 boundaries, 7 boundaries, Yaakov. All 7. The same 7 have to be, not the same, they have to be all 7.
This is 8. 8. 2, 4, 6, 8.
8 is above nature.
It's 8. Beginning Ovis. 1, 2, 3, 4. Moedim is 4. And where else? Oh, you mean there? Okay, that. It's 4 of them. Okay. So we had 8 letters. You mentioned eight maneuvers.
Four boundaries, 8 sections.
The beginning of Shemoneh going down. Yeah. 8 things. Yeah. Going down and up. So we have 4 at the beginning of Shemoneh Esrei and 4 at the end of Shemoneh Esrei. That's 8. But you meant 4 bounds. I meant 4 sets. Yeah. 2 sets, which is 8. Yeah. Together with this, I'd like to mention, it's in Simei Kifid Gimel, the Bialucha says, he brings the Lechem Chamidos in Bruches. He says a person shouldn't bow by any other Bruches in Shemoneh Esrei. V'kacha niyoyme, shetoyim kol hashoichim bebirchis hatoyle betchile b'sof. And you have an aliyah, and you bow by the aliyah in the beginning or the end, it's a mistake. It's not a place where to bow. Since we saw Divrei Chaim and Divrei Chamidus, that you only bow in these places, and not anymore. And the Mechaber brings you shouldn't bow in any other bruches. So those who bow when they have an aliyah, Tchila B'Sof, he says it's a mistake. You shouldn't do it.
That's true.
Yeah.
Talking about bowing in other places, and then you've added different masters of over some the Rambam son, right? And the sacred different masters of over Hashem, he gives praise to the Sufis who are Muslim people, and they prostrate themselves. And he wanted to add more prostrations in the Tefilos, and all the Rabbanim generation went
Against it.
He had a big problem. He had a big problem to try to do it.
Yeah. So we discussed, that's one shir, that we step back 3 steps before Shemoneh Esrei and we go forward. So the Darka Moshe in Simei Tzadid Daled quoted Rekayach. Tzadik Hai. The Kutz of Rekayach. Kish Yachtspoitz Lihispal, when you want daven, you should go forward 3 steps. Gimel Hagusha is Letfila, 3 steps, coming closer. Why 3? Because it says 3 times in the Torah, Vayagesh Avruam. Avrum came closer to Hashem when by Stoim. Vayagesh Yehidu, Parshas Vayigash, when Yehidu came close to Yosef. And Vayagesh Eliyuhi. So this is a beautiful pshat from Rav Steinman on this piece. Side view bought me from it, so. He says like this. V'yagesh Yehuda. Yehuda came close to Yosef. He went to beg Yosef. It's after he took away Benjamin, and he promised his father he's not coming home without Benjamin. So we understand why he came closer. Because he wanted to give him a message. When you want to give a person a message, you come closer. Either you wanted to threaten him, you spoke strong words. So it was the Yagash, I don't need to. He came close to Yosef. But Avrom Avini, why was it necessary for him to come closer to Hashem? The Yagash? Hashem is all over. This is by stone. He begged for 50 people, 40 people, 30 people. Vayagash Avrom. Why Vayagash? Is there any shini mukim if you are here or if you're one step closer? Hashem is Molech L'Eretz Kavodah. The answer is, he answered, even though Hashem is Molech L'Eretz Kavodah all over, but it's a person needs, when he davens, he needs to come closer from wherever he's standing, go closer, because you're going into a place, into a matziv. You're going to speak peh to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Burich Atu. So when you stand here, you're davening, Kriya Shema Ezras. When you start Shemin, before you start Shemin Ezra, you should visualize, I'm going closer to Hashem because I'm going to speak to Him. That's your halchana of coming closer to Hashem, realizing what I'm going to do now. That's time. I said words and the words continue. No, this is total different words. So we discussed, it's not mentioned in Halacha, you have to go back in Shulchan Aruch. So the Ben Ish Chai Taka says, when you go forward, and you stand up from your place and you're going to Dam Shemoneh, you don't have to step back and forward because you're coming to the place. But it does say that you should step back and forward, just like you should be like it says in Simi Kif Chov Gimel Bodan Shulchan Aruch, that when you step out the Shemoneh, you step out from the place where you were, because you spoke to Hashem, and that's the Mukim. It's a Mukim Kudish way Dam Shemoneh. So you have to step back, go out from that place, not just walk away. You have to step back. You can't just walk away from Hashem. Step back. And then when you wait a while, which we'll see how long you have to wait, then go back. So before you start Shemoneh, Avada, you have to do the same steps, going back. And we had other reasons why we have to step back and go forward. Now we're ready to start Hashem's. What time did we start? What time did we start? 10 to 9? 10 to 9. Okay, it's left for a few minutes. Now we're starting Hashem's Susai Tiftach. When is it? Oh, okay, so we have a few minutes left. A little introduction before we start Hashem's Susai Tiftach. Hashem's Susai Tiftach is not Pushit. It's an amazing Pusik that the Chazal added before we done Shemoneh. Now we did discuss that the Gemara says that we added Hashem Susai Tiftach Choyre. Isn't that a problem with being Masmach Gilul Tefillah? It's Masmach Gilul Tefillah. You're making a hefsek between Gual Yisrael and Shemoneh. Burich Atu. You're putting Hashem Susai Tiftach. No, it's part of the Shemoneh. Before I continue, I'm trying to forget. There's a shaila. If a person forgets to say Hashem Susai Tiftach, or let's say he forgets any bruch in the Shemoneh, you have to do it in order. You have to start again. You can't just leave out a bruch in the Shemoneh. But let's say if he forgot Hashem Susai Tiftach, what should he do? Does he daven Shemoneh again? So Biur Halacha talks about it, and he says that Hashem Susai Tiftach is like a part of the Shemoneh when we are dealing with Smicha Gilul Tefillah. And we say it's part of the Shemoneh, it's not a hefsek. But when we're dealing with the bruchas of the Shemoneh, it's not mamish Shemoneh. So you don't have to go back if you skipped it. However, you should say it. And we'll see the importance of saying that pusik and what it means to us before he starts Shemoneh to say Hashem Susay Tiftach. But Lamaisa, it's not Shemoneh, it is Tefillah Arichte, but it's not mamish like one of the Bruchos Shemoneh. Okay. So the Chazal tell us, Reb Yochanan, Betchilo Oim Hashem Susay Tiftach, before he starts Shemoneh say that Pusik in Tilim Ni and Aleph, and the end of Shemoneh you say, Yi L'Rutz and Imrai Fi, we'll discuss what that Pusik means to us. There are 10 Yidden in that Pusik, and what it means to us, it lacks in the Tefillah Shemoneh. We'll talk about it when we finish Shemoneh. But Hashem Susay Tiftach, the Chazal say, since they were misaken to say Hashem Susay Tiftach, Kitfila Arichte Damya. Rashi explains in Tilim, Mechoili, be moichel me for what I did, the wrong that I did. And once you moichel me, I can open my mouth and talk to Hashem. Why do we need this introduction before the Shemoneh Esrei? So the question is, when a person learns Torah, does he make an introduction? He opens the Gemara, he starts right away. He doesn't make an introduction, a pusik to daven to Hashem, open my mouth, I want to daven to you. Ping bat tefillah when he daven Shemoneh Esrei, we add Hashem Susay Tiftach. Because when the answer is, when a person is about to speak to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he has to feel the pachad. As the Tanya says, that Rosh Hashanah, he says it on Rosh Hashanah, the Tanya. The Tefilos Rosh Hashanah. The Tanya says, just like Rosh Hashanah is an Indian of you're building Malchus, HaMelech, we are pointing Hashem to be our king, the Melech, Malch HaMeluchim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The same thing is, that's for 365 days, Bekluliyos. But Beprutis, we do this every day. Every day we are Mamlech HaKadosh Baruch Hu, says the Tanya in the Siddur. By saying Hashem Susay Tiftach, if you yag it to Lusechu, that's an Indian of being Mamlech HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Therefore, when a person is a pachat, and the Shurim Kippur, before we start Mitzvah, we say, Hineni unim mas, nirash v'nifcha, mipachat. Fear, pachad yeshav tilas esru. So before we start every Shemoneh Esrei, we should have that pachad. Therefore we beg Hashem, yiftach lo open my mouth. I lost. I can't talk. I can't continue davening to you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That means a person must be malbish to put on a shiver, a fear, a pachad before he starts Shemoneh Esrei, because I'm going to talk to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Now let me tell you a pachadige Bein Yoina. The Siyasa brings it also in Simik Yifid Aleph. The Bein Yoina says like this. Why do we say this pusik? The Melech said this pusik in Tilim, Bittul in Aleph. When did the Melech say this pusik? Do the Melech Kishoyim Mispal al Chet Bat Sheva. We know when a person does a sin b'shoigig, he has to bring a korban chatas. When he does an aveda b'meizit, it's a punishment. Depends on the level of the aveda. You can't bring a korban chatas. You could do tshiva, gewaldig, you're doing tshiva, but you will get the punishment. If it was done with a warning, and he did tshiva, I have charuta what I did, and you see this person has charuta what he did, the way he's acting, the way he's davening, the way he's doing mitzvahs, but he did an aveda. There's no way out. You have to go through the punishment. You have to go through Malchus. The other punishments, the Dalid, Chalika, Kapura, we have, as it's mentioned in Sanhedrin. Says the Bein Yoina, a person has a chance to say the Pusik Hashem Susay Tiftach, even if he did an Avayda b'maizit, and he'll be forgiven. Can you imagine? When we sign Adam, you don't have a Beis HaMikdash. David the Melech said this Pusik on an Aveda b'maizit. Says it by Yoni, we have the same privilege Before we start Shemoneh Esrei, we do Tshiva HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We say, Hashem Tzvusai Tivtoch Afiyaget Terusechu. Now, even if we did an Avaida B'maizit, it's gone. Hashem forgave us. It's unbelievable. If you want to look it up in the Ma'anyona, I think it's in Daf Dalid, on the Daf Ayarif, on top. Ma'anyona says it. ועכשיו גם כן שיינו לי בייס המקדוש ואין אנחנו מקיבין קרבונויס וני אומרים אויסי על אויסי אינין שתהי תפילוסיינים מקבלס ורצי במוקים זבח בקורבן by shenisken alien atfila omni tefillah richter dam. Because it said that in the tefillah it's called the tefillah richter. Terzov says, on the words of Hashem Tzvusai Tiftach, why do we say that pusik? Hashem should give me the right kavuna to daven. That means, before we start Shemoneh Esrei, when we say, sometimes you say Hashem Tzvusai Tiftach in the middle of the Shemoneh Esrei, oy vay, I didn't have in mind Hashem, now it's too late, can't go back. But when a person remembers, and he has this in mind before he starts Shemoneh Esrei, Hashem Tzvusai Tiftach says it tears off. By saying this pusik, you're having in mind, Hashem, please give me the right kavunis alev to dam Shemoneh Esrei. This is this pusik. If a person has this in mind, Hashem Tzvusai Tiftach, the whole Shemoneh Esrei will have more chance to dam the whole Shemoneh Esrei with kavunis alev. Because this is why they put the pusik according to the Taz before the Shemoneh Esrei. It's a tefillah that we should be able to dam. Bernice Neibshit says, Hashem gave us our lips, our teeth. We have a lock in a lock on the mouth. To be careful what we say. You can't just say whatever you want. So before a person says something, he has to open two locks. It's controlled, yes, we are controlled. And that's a shaymer to say only the right things. Toida, davening, that's why Hashem gave us a mouth. Says Rabbi Tzanaibshitz, if you take the word Aleph Dalet Yin Yid and spell it out, B'mili, it's B'gematria Tufreish Ayin Aleph. In Aramish, Tufreish Ayin Aleph means a gate. Pischeli Sharai Tzedek Uvoivom. Ben Ish Chai says, the word Udam, if you spell out the word Udam, take the letters except Aleph Dalet Mem, you'll be left with Tefillah. Person is created to daven. Not to daven to Hashem. Daven b'kavuna. And by saying Hashem Tzvusai Tiftach, this helps us to daven. And the same thing it says in Punim Yufis, the Rebbe of the Chassam Sofer. The same thing it says in the Bai Ma'im Chaim, different words. Chazal will masakin the same Hashem Tzvusai Tiftach to show how the pachad you have when you're standing in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I don't have a koyach to open my mouth. Hashem, Tzvusai, open my mouth. I can't talk to you. I lost. They call it tongue twisted. I can't talk. Tongue tied. Can't talk. So he's davening to Hashem. Please open my mouth. I want to talk to you.
Orel is a Ralph Kosayim also saying, I need your help, Hashem.
Yep. Mochalim is. I want to finish bowing. Another Rabbi Yoina, he explains the Pusik Hashem Tzvusai Tiftach. Also amazing pshat. Open my mouth, I want to praise you. Kedai shetia tefilusi mikebelas. That my tefillah should be accepted. Let's finish. I want to finish today Hashem Tzvusai Tiftach, another few things. The Raishas Chochmah says, Hashem Tzvusai Tiftach. Hashem means, as we mentioned this once before, my master. Hashem takes care of every person. Hashgucha Pruti is on Kol Echad Ve'echad Mi Yisrael. I mentioned this before. Okay, the Gemara Bruch is Daf Zayin. We'll conclude with this. Manayin shakadosh baruch hu mispal. How do you know that Hashem davens? Without the koyach of Hashem, we will not be able to daven. Hashem davens, and that gives us koyach to daven. Hashem suicide tiftach. A person needs to know, I don't have any koyachas to open my mouth to daven to Hashem. Only because Hashem davens, He gives me the koyach to daven to Him. So with this we conclude, Hashem suicide tiftach. If you get to the Seichel, we should be zoicha to have beautiful Shemoneh Esrei with kavunis halev, and our tefillos will definitely be answered through these tefillos.